Hello, Rosie, Rascal,
Hello.
Harte. Because we've got to remember, it's not just Rosie Rascal, it is Harte, isn't it?
Yeah,
With an E.
Yeah.
And we're just only a few days after a big show that you've just done.
Yeah. So now it's back to the gym and getting all the questions. How did it go? How do you feel?
The usual.
Yeah.
Because you just did the very first Two Bro Pro show.
Yeah.
Which was in London. What did you think about it?
I thought it was a really good show, to be honest.
Yeah.
Judging was good, even though I got second place, not first. I think it was well judged. Mm-hmm. It was very much run like the pro events that I've done in America. So it was just more like you knew it was organised and you knew what was going on all the time. Yeah. I think, like Bob Chick is just so good running things backstage and keeping things going. So, I really enjoyed it.
But I spoke to you because I was obviously there all the weekend and spoke with you, and I was amazed to hear what had happened and your journey running into that show. Yeah,
it was definitely a challenge for me because last year, in fact, actually 2016 and 2017, I had some bad stomach issues.
Right.
And I think if I look back, the stomach issues have been coming on for years prior, but I just hadn't really realised what was going on. Right. But it came to a head at Tampa 2017 prep, and I'm going to have to go into a little bit of detail.
Go into as much or as little detail as you want.
But I couldn't go to the toilet.
Right, with you.
Oh my goodness, for 3 months. Without using strong laxatives.
Wow.
Now, nobody wants to do that.
No.
It's damaging you.
Yeah.
And the food was not digesting. Right. So I was incredibly bloated. Yeah. I had really bad pains in my gut to the point where sometimes it would make me fall to the floor because it was just like, whoa, what is that? So the prep for Tampa was intense because I just had this problem with the stomach going on, and then the peak week, can you imagine when you're carbing up and you're not going to the toilet and then you've got to go on stage and try and pose and keep your breath and your stomach in. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't bother doing another show after Tampa. Right. Because I was a bit scared, to be honest, what the hell was going on with my stomach. So I went and got a load of testing done, and it turned out that the good bacteria in my gut was pretty much zero. That's what I was going to lead to. I was going to ask, were you taking any kind of pro and prebiotics? At the time, I was not taking any. Right. Okay. And I mean, a little bit of history about what might have led to this as well over the years, because throughout my 20s, for a good 7 to 10 years, I was still bodybuilding, but I was leading a very unhealthy life. I was a big party girl, so there was a lot of stuff going into my gut that was not helping the gut flora. Go on, what was you feeding then? Oh my goodness. No, well, I won't go into too much depth about that, but if I could write a book about my time in Leeds, I was a little rascal. And that's where that leads us to where the word rascal comes from. I've always had a little bit of a wild side to me. Thank goodness it's tamed now. Yeah. But I had a very, very unhealthy life, and as well as the partying all weekend. I mean, I would go out for 3 days and not come home. And I'd be up and dancing. And you'd be awake during that whole time? Oh, I'd be up. I'd be changing outfits, quick shower, next house party, quick shower, next club. It was wild. And how long did that continue? That was for a good 7 years. I was on and off like that. Whoa. But I mean, it was crazy. Yeah. But like I'd come from a very, very well brought up from a little village. Yeah. I was brought up quite strict. Yeah. And I think it was just like a move to Leeds, and it was like, okay, now it's time to go wild, and the country girl just went crazy in the city.
That was it.
Yeah. And also, I think there's something about going out and getting into that scene that if you're young and you're not quite figured out who you are yet, I felt like a bit of a celebrity because everyone knows who you are. You get treated like you're something special, and it's a very fake life. Yeah. But it gives you this feeling of worth that you're desperately searching for.
Sort of euphoric.
Yeah, and
being.
And that's all it is, really. It's just people that are lost and trying to find the way and trying to feel special and have fun. And
it's the ego, isn't it? Again, we always address, especially in the early, especially when you're young and as you're going throughout life. I found as you go through life and in the latter years, you're looking back and you're going, it's all about tampering and taming that ego.
Yeah.
And you look back and think, everything was governed by your ego.
Yeah, definitely. And that was all it was. It was like I felt like a little superstar.
Yeah.
In this little fake world.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I was not living a healthy lifestyle, and on top of that, I was binge eating massively.
Yeah.
So I'd party for 2-3 days straight.
Yeah.
Then I'd have 2-3 days binge eating on junk food, processed food. And the binge eating was something that then kind of really affected the bodybuilding a lot.
Yeah. So when did you actually start lifting the weights and start training then, like with the view to compete or bodybuild?
So I started training in 2004, I think it was.
Okay.
When I met my ex-husband, Jamie.
Yeah.
And he showed me how to train and how to diet and everything.
And you were still partying at this time, though?
This is when I started partying.
So you started partying and started doing that, right? Okay.
It all kind of mingled into one big mush. But then
big mush.
Then I competed in 2007,
right,
and won my first show. And at that point, I was saying I am going to be a pro bodybuilder,
right,
and I am going to go to the Olympia.
Okay.
I was 6 stone wet through.
What gave you that? I mean, what was it that lit that fuse then?
To be honest, it was my ex-husband.
Right.
It was kind of his vision.
Okay.
He knew about bodybuilding. I didn't really know about it.
So he saw something.
Yeah, he was the one that looked at my genetic frame and when I would pose, and he just visualized what I would look like with so many pounds of muscle here and there. Mm-hmm. And he kind of conditioned me mentally for because we were together for 10 years. It was like, it was almost like having my own private coach.
Yeah.
Every single day telling me, you are something special. You can be Miss Olympia. You could go to the Olympia, be a pro.
Well, at least it's the opposite of someone who's like, controlling in the fact that they want to pull you to pieces.
Yeah.
And it's the opposite. He's really behind you and driving you.
Yeah. So I've got a lot to thank him for, to be honest. But then of course we were off doing our partying as well, so it was kind of like we had this two extremes, where we were both really into the gym and we had this dream, but at the same time it was like
you was hooked on the highs of
Saturday
the party.
Night.
Yeah. Well, no, it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and every other night.
Quickly to the gym on a Thursday.
Yeah.
So I know. So I think my progress was held back for quite a long time, just because I was just living. I was living my youth.
It was living the life.
So yeah. Then I did more competitions, and I would just win a lot.
Yeah.
Because I had this frame, this small waist, and this X frame.
Yeah.
And I mean, I did train hard. And I used to train very heavy as well when I first started training. And just kind of worked my way up, worked my way through the different federations that suited my physique at the time. And yeah, it was like when I split up with my ex as well, it was a crazy time because it was like all of a sudden I had to rely on my own self-belief instead of having someone else that was constantly telling you. And I would say actually it's taken me about 4 or 5 years to build it where it's really now I believe it again for myself that I can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you don't mind me saying, you was close with your fella, and then because it sounded to me like you had the ideal partnership at that point where you was like supportive and all that was.
Yeah, I think it was like I was a little bit older.
Right. Okay.
And I think it was just literally I was just coming to a new phase of my life, and he wasn't there. Yeah. And I knew that if I didn't I moved away and completely changed all of my friends. Yeah. I don't see or speak to anyone that I used to hang around with, because it was just like this fear that when I turned 40 or whatever, I was just going to have wasted my potential and wasted my life and just be sat in a house party. Yeah. Showing people pictures of me when I used to compete. Yeah. Yeah. And I just thought that is not what I've been put on earth for. So yeah, I just went cold, made this decision. Okay, it's like sink or swim, and completely changed my life.
Well, going back, because people who don't know or do know you, and then anyone who doesn't, you're very well known for putting together amazing routines. Yeah. So your background has got to have something to do with the performing arts. Yeah.
So before I did bodybuilding, I did dance from the age of 3.
Right. Okay.
Then I went and did a performing arts at college, and I went to university and I did my degree in contemporary dance and theatre. Okay. And I was a professional singer for 7 years as well.
What particular style was it?
I had 2 different shows. I had one that was a Motown tribute. Okay. So it was all the old Motown soul. And then I had a really cheesy, like working men's club act, which was called the American Diva Tribute. And I would dress up as Cher, Tina Turner, Dolly Parton and Diana Ross.
It's a bag of tricks, that one, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, I had different wigs. I had glittery dresses. I had like a little denim number for Dolly Parton. And I used to crack like little jokes. And I'd say it was like the same script every night. Yeah, do you know, like you had a proper little show and you'd have these little cheesy jokes. Yeah. But that was awesome. But again, it was like, because I was partying, I didn't want to be working on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday singing. So it kind of drew me away from this.
There was no way there was going to be a balance with them, is there?
No.
And so obviously what that was costing, where that would have been earning.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I look back now and I don't regret any decisions I've made or any ways that I've done things. No. Because it's like where I am now with the bodybuilding and what I want to achieve, I have to be mature and focused, and I have to be all about business. Yeah. And I'm there now because I've had my wild days to the absolute extreme, and I don't even want to go out ever again.
You got to the point where you've done it, that you went to such an extreme where you burnt out and just went, that's it, I'm done.
Like I'm now, done. For me, I just love to sit in and me and Giles will just have a glass of wine. Yeah. And that's like my perfect night now.
What was there a specific incident or point that just went where you went, you know what, I've had enough of this? Something where you just went, that's it, enough's enough.
I think it was probably, there was a few things, but I think my health was suffering and I just felt like, who the hell am I? Yeah. Who am I? Yeah. Because I'd always been such a strong, positive person. Yeah, yeah. with like such drive to be something special. And I felt like I was withering away.
You'd lost yourself.
I'd lost myself. I was like paranoid.
Yeah.
I didn't know who the people were I was hanging around with. I was like, these aren't my kind of people. No. And
it's called the circle of influence, isn't it?
Yeah.
So who's heavily influenced by, I'm not saying deadbeats. I don't like using that word, but sometimes it is appropriate. But their view on life and what they wanted to achieve was certainly, not, by the sounds of it, not your aspiration.
Yeah, and I could just see myself sinking and changing and becoming something I didn't recognise.
Yeah.
Like I was not a positive person anymore, and I guess it was like I just knew that I was sinking badly, and it was. I had no choice. I had to jump out of it. I had to.
Boom.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
And so the focus then turned itself full circle, and then, like you say, devote yourself onto bodybuilding.
Yeah, because I think I felt like I'd given up my career in singing.
Yep.
Because of the partying.
Yep.
And I felt like I'd got so far with the bodybuilding that if I was to give up and not fulfill my potential, I'd be pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. That's not my character.
No.
If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to show and prove to myself and everyone that I am the best.
Yeah.
I don't like doing stuff unless I'm the best.
But it's really funny now that, because we've touched on a real change and shift in paradigm, if you like. The vast majority of the people on this planet, UK, wherever, all these people can't go out these days out without bloody getting drunk, taking cocaine, taking this pill, that pill, all these uppers and downers and all this, that and the other, right? And people do that all the time, yeah? And yeah, if someone dies of that or whatever, they get carried away, oh, isn't it a shame, oh, it shouldn't have. But yet, there you were, right on the highway, way past the speed limit, and you're on that road. And for some reason, that road came to a grinding halt. You took then the turn to go bodybuilding. And that's become like, it saved you. Now, you know, and then people have the audacity to look at bodybuilders, the fitness industry, and absolutely stick,
and,
you know,
and
a rod right in.
It's
and it's
unhealthy. And
the amount of people I've seen when it's changed, where, you know, these lads I've known, there was one guy I remember saying he was a heroin addict, he had nothing to live for, and then bodybuilding saved him. Yeah. You know, and there's so many similar stories to that. I mean, how much do you feel when you hear people put a negative slant onto things like the bodybuilding side of things and you know, that type?
I find it hard to even bother trying to justify or explain to people, because I think it's like some of the comments people will make, their education on bodybuilding is at such a low level. It's hard to know where to start to try and make them understand that it's such a positive thing. And it's like, you hear people say stuff like, oh, risking your health, doing this, that and the other just for a trophy. It's like,
we're all like
what
that,
are you talking about? It's like they don't understand the mental benefits that you get out of bodybuilding. Like to me, like when I go to the gym, and a lot of people say this, it's like a meditation. It's a release. Yeah. It's a time to have your mind completely free. And that's why I feel so good after I've trained. And competing, it's like, I've not got my eye on a trophy or a medal. That's not what I'm doing this for. You know, it's just about self-improvement and challenging myself and feeling like I've got a purpose in life.
But that is the key to life, isn't it? If most people just exist, but if the key element to what life is about, realistically, is what is your purpose? Yeah. Do you have a purpose? Yeah. And you've hit quite a pertinent note there. But to go back about when people actually criticising that. It always reminds me of the saying that Mahatma Gandhi said, condemnation without investigation is a sheer height of ignorance.
Yeah.
And the amount of people, it happened to me over the years. I remember once at the time when the stag night, when, you know, I had many moons back, and this girl come up to me. She was absolutely off her tree. You know,
wasn't me, was it?
No. I'd have remembered. Absolutely bladdered out of her head. You know, and I had pupils like that, this, that, and the other. And I was obviously carrying quite a bit of muscle, a bit more muscle. And like, you know, at the time she goes like that and she's poking me. She goes, all them steroids and all that you're taking, it's not good for your health. And I'm looking, I'm going, oh my God. I'm thinking, what the hell have you got floating through your body and the state of you? And you're coming up to me, telling me how unhealthy and how bad things are for me.
But the thing is as well, it's like people that don't train and they constantly just eat processed food every single day. They're eating sugar every single day of their life.
Yeah.
And they've got headaches. They've got I don't know, like so many chronic diseases going on, and then they're going to abuse someone who lifts weights and because they take steroids and say that they're unhealthy. It's like, where do you start with someone like that, John? Like,
well,
you can't, you don't have the time to educate them.
You'll never win with, you'll never win an argument with a fool.
No.
You know what I mean? It's just not possible. You know what I mean? A fool's a fool. And someone who's uneducated or has no idea of the subject matter that they're talking about will always have that opinion and stick with it no matter what. They're not an open book.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
And you can have I've had many nice conversations with one or two people and they've gone, oh, I didn't realise it was like that. It's been nice from the odd occasion where they go, oh, I thought you was just a meathead, but you're not.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's a little bit more to us than that, you know.
But it's like I went through a phase where I felt like I had to be extra nice all the time. And because I felt like if I was in shape and lean and muscular, I felt like I was being judged.
Yeah.
So it was like I felt like I had a duty to be overly soft and nice and like make sure I've changed people's perceptions of this female bodybuilder.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God, give me a break.
Yeah. So just and now do you find you are a case of this is the way I'm taking it?
A bit more relaxed with it, yeah. And just not care so much.
What Dorian says, isn't it? The minute you don't give a fuck is when you're free.
Yeah.
And it's quite a true rude. It doesn't mean being rude. It just means like I'm not going to tolerate yous being rude to me. You know, as in people coming in and just saying what they want. Do you find that when you was out? Do you find it was more a case of women or men that were sort of like, or was it across the board really?
To be honest, I would say in general, I have been very, very fortunate with the response I've had off people when I've been out or on social media, everything. I never have had that much negative.
Why do you think that is?
I think because I'm quite feminine still and small and petite and even though I've taken the bodybuilding to quite extreme levels, I've always maintained that kind of pretty look.
Yep.
And if anything, the one common thing I've always been approached with is, you're the first female bodybuilder I've ever seen that you've changed my mind and I think it looks nice.
That's a compliment and a half, isn't it?
Yeah. So I just have never really got that much negative. Don't get me wrong, I've had the odd one or two, which is fine. But yeah, I always seem to get really pretty positive stuff, to be honest. So,
well, that's a good thing, because that's what I've always noticed. I remember the very first time I seen you and I went, wow, you know, that's an absolute ideal package. And then when I saw you perform, I was like, I came up to you and said, I've never seen anybody do that on stage before on routine, because everything was just so professional.
Yeah.
From your presentation to the way you presented yourself, from your physique, and then to perform the way you did was like, it was just like, how can you put it? Mixture of ballet and performing arts all rolled into. So you actually put together the performing arts person that is within you, and shone with it.
I like to get the character across. But I think this is one of the reasons why I've done so well, is because I look at every little detail. Like, I'm not just going to the gym and getting big. That is not what my strategy is. I'm not just trying to get as shredded as possible. I'm looking at every little detail. What's my hair look like? Is my skin still healthy? Do I look young? Do I look healthy? Do I feel healthy? And it's like, I want to go to Christmas dinner with my family and I want them to recognise me still as the girl that they've known since being a little toddler. Do you know? So that's something that I've always been conscious of. Yes, I want to be successful in bodybuilding, but I want to do it my way, that I'm comfortable with. And I've never been swung where if someone told me, you got to do this if you want to win. It's like, if that didn't feel right for me, I would never do it. I'd rather come second, third, fourth, fifth, last and do it my way. You know exactly what you want to portray. I think that's crucial. That whereas a lot of people just tend to follow the crowd. I think what you've got to do is find a way for what makes you stand out, but be true to yourself at the same time. And I think that's what I find. That's what I'm picking up with yourself, and that was pretty much the case with me. It's like, yes, I was influenced by certain people and how to train and that, but I was still. If I heard something and I didn't agree with it, it was like, no, I'm not doing that. That doesn't make sense. I would always step back and try and apply logic. So you mentioned your family there as well. So are you close? Have you ever got a close-knit family? Or? We are close, but each person's very independent. We're not the kind of family that like phones each other up every day or sees each other all the time. Is that what you're like to your mum? And
she lives around the corner from me, and it's like, I've always been
Rosie, you missed Mother's Day.
Oh no!
I've not messaged
you missed Mother's Day.
We were filming, weren't we?
We were filming.
And he went, "What did you get for your mum?" And I went, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" I went, "Shit!" And I never forget something like that. Damn, I'm going to have to get hold of my daughter.
She'll have been sat at home crying.
No, she won't. She actually was.
There was an emergency phone call. Let's say that.
My mum was actually at my brother's with his, and his wife and the two grandkids there. I'm like, Chloe, you'll have to go and get me a Mother's Day card. Get me this. I said, I can't believe it. I just been following it, knowing it was coming up, and then just for some reason went total blank. But I did make up for it because the next day we did go around, flowers, chocolate.
Oh, that's nice.
Did make sure. Yeah, definitely. So you're like that, because I'm not on the phone, and I'm not one of these where I'll be texting, like text people every 2 minutes and that. And I suppose it's not lent its weight over the years with people.
We're just not like my brother lives in Italy. I'm very close to him. Like we're super close.
How many brothers and sisters have you
Just
got?
one brother.
Right. And what does he do?
He's a teacher. And he's also like a yoga. He's not a yoga instructor. I guess he studies it.
Right.
Just he keeps on studying it for his own sort of learning.
Do you do any yoga?
Yeah, I do yoga. And my mum's a teacher as well, and she travels all over.
Is your brother younger or older?
He's older, 2 years older.
Okay.
He influences me very heavily because he's like my male role model, because my dad died when I was little.
Oh, sorry about that.
So my brother's always been like,
so he's like
a hang off every word he says.
Oh, bless.
And he's very much like into meditation and holistic approach to life. So he's like a big influence on me, keeping me grounded towards Mother Nature and keeping me kind of just not crossing the line with anything too much, you know?
Yeah.
Stay healthy.
Stay healthy. Against Big Pharma.
Yeah.
I'm getting a feel for this. Getting a feel for where this is going. I probably could have a good conversation with your brother.
Yeah.
Get a feel for it.
Yeah, he's always like sending me emails. Check out this supplement. It'll be really good for this. And, you know, because I do use a lot of natural supplements, and my diet is very tailored to like anti-inflammation in the body and this kind of thing.
Well, that's where they say everything stems from, doesn't it? Inflammation is what starts the process of many a disease.
Exactly. And actually nicely bringing that back round to the gut problem. This is something I've researched massively, because I'm like, you're like this, aren't you? You're always looking.
Yeah, I like to research and look at the obscure things as well. I would say that.
And so when I was having these gut problems 2017, I was researching, got all the results back. I sent off for some tests with a company called Genova. And you can send it off and they test everything, bring you results back. So it turned out the gut flora was completely out of whack, and there was a candida present in the gut as well.
Fungus.
Yes, which obviously from the binge eating and all this inflammation within the body. So I'd been doing this for years, and then all of a sudden at the age of like 33, the body was like, okay, we can't deal with this anymore. And I got in touch with a girl called, do you know Josie and Barney?
Depressed.
Well, I've known them for years, just from
Are they vegetarians or vegans? Vegan now.
And Josie, you have to look her up because I can't think of the exact title of what work she does, but she works with holistic nutrition and healing, and she worked with me to get my gut back to good health. So basically at the end of last year, I did a cleansing protocol with her. It was meat free. Very, very low protein. It was all natural foods, all this herbs and natural supplements that she designed for me to heal this gut problem. So I lost a lot of muscle as well, because the food was quite low. The food was very strict, and I just didn't train with weights. I just did yoga and Pilates. So I lost all my muscle near enough, but
in order to get yourself right.
And I just wanted to rest my body, and also had some postural problems that I wanted to correct. And I couldn't do that whilst I was still lifting heavy weights. I had to almost strip the body back, get rid of the muscle, get rid of any tight restricting postural, like I had rolled forward shoulders, the hip was tilted, the pelvis was tilted.
And who helped you actually, recorrect all that?
So I did a lot myself, just from research, and I just kind of figured out which exercises I would need to do to, like the Pilates was amazing.
Pilates is good.
Yeah, because this just activated a lot of the problems were caused from having this weak core. So it was like just going back to the beginning and building on the core strength, and then I started lifting weights again. So it was at the end of November that I finished my cleanse with Josie.
Can you give us an idea of what that entailed, or give people,
the cleanse?
Because people out there, I think a lot of illnesses, they say do stem primarily from the gut.
Absolutely. And not just physical illness, but mental illness. People with depression need to look at what's going on in the gut. It's like, if you start researching this, it's insane. If you there's a load of stuff by a doctor called Chris Kresser, super interesting. Dr. Rhonda Patrick, also really interesting.
And again, is information on YouTube with these guys as well?
Yeah, YouTube. So there's some really interesting podcasts with Dr. Rhonda Patrick that goes super in depth about some of the findings that they have about gut flora. So I was just like constantly watching all these videos and listening and trying to figure out how I can fix this.
So was there actually a lot of it, and this is where it'll probably be a bit of a difficult one to probably take if I'm gonna hit this quite right, was they saying like when you're having a lot of protein, would that have an impact on the intestinal flora as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got to go, well, but I'm a bodybuilder. And then you're faced with this dilemma of, but I need some protein. And it's like balancing it all out, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and also realising that one of the best things that I could ever do for my health was to just not eat.
Right.
For years, you eat every 2 hours.
Yeah.
You never, ever give your poor digestive system a rest. And it's working all the time, and it's tired, and it's putting all your hormones out of whack. So one of the amazing things I was doing, and you hear people talk about it all the time, the intermittent fasting.
I was just about bringing it up.
Yeah.
That's well weird. I was just about to say, well, what about intermittent fasting?
Yeah. And
because you say, well, you don't eat for 3 days.
Yeah. I mean, I do, if I'm going to do it, I tend to do 16 hours.
Okay.
Which is not so hard.
No.
And people kind of like that maybe don't know that much about it kind of go, oh, this new craze, everybody's doing the intermittent fasting, just stick to bodybuilding, blah blah blah. But if you go and do your research and if you actually try it for yourself. If it doesn't work, fine for you. It doesn't work for me. It really works. I don't think I'm designed to eat meat every 2 hours. My poor little body can't take it. So when I go 16 hours without eating, I feel incredible. And there's research done that actually it helps sport performance.
Yeah, because you say if I'm right, with the intermittent fasting, it starts to release, the body's releasing the growth hormone as well. There's certain hormones released, and you're not losing muscle tissue. In fact, you'll end up losing more body fat.
Yes. Yeah.
That's sort of
and
part
it
of the
resets your hormones.
Yep.
And there's research to say that actually it can help gain muscle tissue, not lose it.
Yep.
So
it's
this
I
was,
suppose, in a way though, for bodybuilders, and especially someone like myself back in the day, in the thick of it, be like, have I got the balls to try that? And I'm like, oh no, because them 3 days, I'm gonna lose it all, and it's just not possible, is it?
Yeah.
So you've got what you think to yourself, well, what you got to lose in 3 days? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit like if you're poorly and you have a bug.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't eat.
Yeah.
Well, it's the body's way of saying, look, you've got to fight this, and you just you know.
The two big things I would say to any bodybuilders and anyone that's having any tummy trouble or anything, I would say get a good probiotic.
Yep.
The one I use is New You Nutrition, and it is incredible.
Is that in a capsule
that's
form?
That's in a capsule, and it's kept in the fridge.
What about the things like Yakults and that? Have you ever used them?
I don't think they're enough. They don't have enough different strains of bacteria in them.
This is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. The New You Nutrition has got covers pretty much everything.
Right. Okay.
So I mean, when I started taking that morning and night, and now I've tapered it down a little bit. But I would say a good probiotic, and I would say try the intermittent fasting. Yeah. If you're having tummy problems, give it a rest. Yeah. Just rest it.
Leave it.
Stop shoveling food in. It's like eat, like a furnace, and then it's all of a sudden starting to settle, and you're eating again and putting stress on it.
Yeah. Expecting more to go in and alleviate the problem when you're
not actually taking in any of the vitamins or nutrients, so you're not going to gain in the gym.
That's what it's all about, isn't it, with nutrition? That's why the food is measured out, or should be, and delivered in such a fashion that it's what the body can absorb and utilise.
Yeah.
It's not about just cramming in food for fun.
No.
And people saying, oh, I eat this much. It's like, yeah, but how much of that are you going to digest and utilise?
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah, and going back to the inflammation, if you're overloading your body with food, you've got inflammation, and then you just got loads of trouble going on. Yeah. It's just going to all end badly, like it did with me with the stomach. So
how long did it take you then to rectify the issue?
Me and Josie worked together for about 6 weeks, very intensively.
Right.
And even within a couple of weeks, I was 60% better just from doing what we were doing, and cutting out the meat for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the 6 weeks, it was my body's back to how it was when I was about 21.
Yeah.
My metabolism was working like it should have done.
Yeah.
Because in 2016 and 17, when I was trying to diet, I couldn't drop the fat properly. And I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just getting older.
Yeah.
But it was all just down to this.
Yeah.
My body was not working properly because of the gut problem.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, when we cleared it, it's like my skin was nice, my eyes were whiter, my metabolism was firing. Like I could do a lower carb day and you could see it straight away. You know, you're like, whoa.
So you eliminated, what did you have? Do you have any source of protein going in at all?
We had, let me think, we did a vegan shake.
Right.
The Vivo Life one, I think it's called, which is really nice.
So what was your protein intake during this cleansing stage typically for a day be then?
I think we went down to, like, some days, the first couple of weeks, it was like, I think like about 100 or something.
Okay, so you
wasn't crazy
low.
And we had like, I'm trying to think what I was allowed to eat now. It was like very much plant-based.
Right, okay.
And then we kind of introduced different things, and then I was allowed to introduce eggs and things like that to get my protein. Yeah. And then I put in salmon and stuff further down the line. So
you did this for how long, did you say? In
6
total?
weeks.
6 weeks, but was it not a little bit of an extended period, or?
Well, then I went straight into prep.
Right, because that's what I was going to ask. At what point then did you go try and alleviate this problem and then go, I'm going to compete, and now go ahead?
Yeah. Well,
so you've lost it. How much? Oh, so good. Let's sort of reverse back. You've done your 6, but what effects had it had? I mean, what was your body weight, and how was your, shall we say, ratio, if you like, composition?
Well, my body's funny because it's like before I started bodybuilding, I was just under 6 stone.
Wow.
That was like my set weight. That, you know, I am tiny person. Wow. Anyone that meets me, the first thing they say,
in the pavement.
Yeah, like whenever anyone meets me, they're always like, "You're so small, aren't you?" Because they presume I'm going to be much bigger.
Yeah.
But before I started lifting weights, I was tiny. Petite. But I didn't look skinny.
Yeah.
I was just tiny. Yeah. And if you look at my head, I've got like such a small head. Yeah. I'm just really small. So my body always wants to go like back to that.
Yeah.
If I don't train for a little bit, or if I cut my protein, it's like, see ya to the muscle. Right. It's just going to go back to its natural state, which is it causes a lot of stress because then I have to try and regain all this muscle every time. Yeah. But so this time round, I think like my usual stage weight when I compete, depending on condition, can be anywhere from 51 to 53 kg. Yeah. When I did this cleanse, I went down to 53 kg, but with no muscle. So, yeah, you was predominantly, like you say, like more like the typical average lady on the street. Yeah, just like a normal girl. Like, honestly, normal girl. You wouldn't even know I'd been to the gym. Wow. You can actually look on my Instagram. I did a transformation, and like you would never have known I'd even been in the gym, let alone trained since 2004. We'll see if Chris can come up with the... Is he going to find it? Find it before. I think it was like yesterday I posted that. Yeah. There's like a picture, and I called it the mum bum. Mum bum. Because from the back, the transformation picture, one of my friends messaged and said, you definitely had a mum bum before. Definitely not the bum of a female. Here we go. I don't know whether there's one from the back as well. Yeah. But that was at the start. And I did the transformation in 14 weeks. Wow. So I had to regain all the muscle tissue and try and get in condition in 14 weeks. So it was basically the weight didn't really alter, but the actual composition did. Exactly. So my stage weight was about 53, exactly the same as... there you go. Mum bum. Don't judge me. I'm not judging anyone. Right. Yeah, but I think people like to see that. You can look like this amazing superstar physique, but we're all just made of the same thing, really. And when I stopped training and when I stopped dieting and everything, my body just goes like a normal girl.
Yeah.
I'm not muscular, genetically gifted.
They're muscular without doing anything.
Not at all. The place where I'm gifted is my structure and my small joints, but muscular-wise,
it's hard work.
No way I'm not gifted at all.
You have to fight for it.
Yeah, seriously. So normally I prep for about 24 weeks.
Right.
Because I like to have time to build my tissue and then cut down slowly.
Yeah.
So this was a challenge doing it in 14 weeks because I was forever trying to build the muscle back and the strength. So I couldn't push the fat loss.
Yeah.
So I was keeping my calories as high as I could. And then it got to about 5-6 weeks out and I thought, I'm going to have to start pushing for fat loss now.
And what did you actually do? Because obviously there's still a fair bit of fat to get off.
Yeah.
So what happened because it was quite a dramatic shift in the look change, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, I had to go lower in carbs than I would normally do.
How low?
So usually I can sit comfortably at about 100 a day and still have high days.
That's my breakfast. That.
Is that your breakfast?
My breakfast, 100 grams, and be crying after that. Not anymore.
But I could have maybe like every third or fourth day I would get away with a 250 carb day.
Yeah. Well, if you think of that's only 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
Okay.
But usually, because I would be holding more dense, like mature tissue that's been there for longer.
Yeah, it didn't take
the
long
metabolism
to
would be better and be able to handle it. But this time round, it was like, oh my God. And I took my carbs down to 40 gram a day.
And how much protein then was you on then?
It was about 200.
So you're only on 1,000. Well,
fats,
in
high
fats, how fat? I was going to say, what
about
your
70
fats?
gram of fats a day. I was on high fat.
So 70 grams, 630. So you're basically on about 1,600 calories.
Yeah, but normally I can sit more at about 1,800.
Yeah.
And it's just more comfortable and it feels healthy and I stay fuller.
Yeah.
And what was happening was because it was like I was having to push so hard for the fat loss, I was just going flat.
But you're going to get a bit flat. If you're going into a show, people got to understand you're going to get flat coming in.
Yeah, but
because you're
it
depleting.
Was mentally a struggle because I wasn't as big as normal.
Yeah.
So I was like looking in the mirror thinking,
What's
where the hell's my legs? My legs just looked so skinny.
Yeah.
I just thought, I'm going to like shame myself here because my legs have always been a really strong point on stage. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to compete in England for the first time since 2012 and go on stage with no legs. I just embarrassed myself.
How was your training affected? Because obviously you're really having to push the issue now and really try and turn the screw to make, these changes in reducing the body fat level. So was there any strategic changes with your training?
Yeah.
And how did you actually deal with that, physically and mentally as well?
Training, I just did very basic. I went in and I did hardly any sets. Very, very strict technique. Slow negatives, and just tried to lift as heavy as I could to get the density and the thickness, but without burning out the physique and doing too much. Like normally you can go in and do a bit more volume.
Well, you trained with me on one or two occasions, didn't you? And that's the one
and
thing.
I love
what
your
did I say?
training.
I forgot. I said, don't do the volume.
Yeah.
I'm very much that high intensity trainer.
So basic. Like this works very well for my physique.
Yeah.
And it's like over the years I've tried everything. I've tried every training technique you can possibly think of. And actually it all just gets a little bit too complicated. And the basics.
Shake it all about. Done.
Yeah.
Just get it in, get the job done.
Choose the exercises carefully to sculpt the physique that you need, the areas that are lacking, or choose exercises that you can feel. That's the most important thing for me, the exercise selection.
Yeah, because and also, like you said there, the word feel, understanding how to execute and perform the exercise correctly.
Yeah.
Because if you're not feeling it, either the exercise doesn't suit you or more than likely you're not performing the exercise correctly.
Yeah.
That's how I would look at it.
Yeah, so I was just doing like 30, 40-minute sessions and just letting the food and the cardio do the work with the fat loss and not burning out from the training.
Is it fair to say then the adage we're trying to take from this, which is more isn't better? How long you're in, is it?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And even like, I mean, cardio as well, same thing. Sometimes people just go crazy on the cardio. Like, if you work out all your calories and you work out how much you're burning roughly, and I try and do, again, because of my body type, you have to know your body type. And because I lose muscle quick, it makes no sense to do a shed load of cardio all the time. So I just do 30 minutes in the morning and I do 30 minutes later on. I can just about push it to 40 sometimes. But for me, it's better to manipulate the food a little bit and try not to put too much stress on the body, not to be physically doing too much.
When you say too much cardio, when you say that, because the amount of cardio that you did was very much similar to the max I would do. I think the most I ever went up to was 2 45-minute sessions.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But I was eating like 300 and odd, 400 grams of carbs a day.
Yeah.
So I wasn't starving myself, but I was, doing that. At maximum, that's where I would take it on certain preps. What when you say when you wear the term a high amount of cardio, what would you refer to that? What you're hearing?
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Some people have to do that. Like I have some clients. I've got my client Sam Forbes, IFBB Pro figure. Now she can grow muscle for jokes. She just grows muscle like that, and it doesn't go. But the body fat is hard to come down. So with her, sometimes it's like 2 hours plus. Just walking, steady state walking, but she has to go high on the cardio. So it's not that it's wrong or right, but you got to find your flow and think logically about your body type.
The case of if it has to be done, it has to be done,
yeah,
doesn't it?
Exactly.
But again, I suppose it's all about being acutely aware of where you're at as well, knowing what you're putting in. Where people sometimes don't have an idea of how much they're eating, and it's just sort of like, I was never of that ilk, if you get my meaning. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, have you always worked on that principle of being precise? And
when I first started bodybuilding, I didn't have a clue. I didn't know. I would just do everything off feel. What felt, and I didn't have any scientific knowledge whatsoever about any calories, food or anything. So I would just eat 6 times a day, and then as the prep started, I'd put a bit of cardio in, and maybe I'd take 1 egg out, or I'd take 5 almonds away, and that's the way I did it for years. I just didn't know. And then as I got a bit more into it, and when I split from my ex, because he used to help me a lot, it was like, okay, I need to figure out what I'm doing for myself now. Then I started researching and learning, and now I have a heap loads of knowledge. But I tell you what, in some ways it doesn't half confuse things.
I was just
the more knowledge you have, it's like
do you not think, I mean, and again, I think it was an interview that I did with brief one at the 2 Bro Pro show with Charlie Claremont, and we were saying again, there's so many people trying to make things, and use the word make it convoluted, so confusing at times, that we just really do miss on stripping it back to the basics. And the basics have never actually ever failed if you look at it in real time. And it's great knowledge and learning is brilliant. But then I'm looking and hearing all these people on the internet, this, that, and the other. And when I'm seeing them, I'm going, well, that didn't work. I expected more than that. If you get me mean, that's not being horrible. I've seen him say it all time and time again. Going, for God's sake.
The different diets, the different training techniques, the HIIT cardio, the this cardio, da. It's too much. It's like, which one do you choose from? Because you're forever thinking, maybe that way works better than that way. And it's like, the basics.
Yeah.
Just strip it back.
Do you go into the gym, just give yourself 45 minutes, kill it with good form to failure, and then make sure you're eating the basic bodybuilding foods. And if you need to lose fat and you got the cardio going in there, how the hell can you be? You can't be that far off the mark. Yeah. Surely to God. Yeah. That's what I try and.
I mean, something with training as well, which I've kind of come to the conclusion of, because it's like when I'll write out my training plan, I'll be thinking, right, I'll try this, Yeah. And it's like I've come to the conclusion that the best way for me to structure my training plan and to make progress is to do basic bodybuilding split. 2 body parts, once a week.
Yep.
And not try and do like all these different kind of, you hit it 3 times, but you only do 3 sets. It's like I've tried it all, and I'm going back to how I started training, and that works for me.
Yeah, I think. Do you think a lot of the people that are out there that are coming out with all this information, it's like, hey, look at me, I'm clever, I've got something new to show you, or they're trying to sell something?
I don't know. It's like, I'm sure there's elements of what they've got that does work.
Or is that me being super cynical?
And don't get me wrong, it's good. It's great to try all these different things. But yeah, I really, really just think I'm loving the basics.
I've always said that. I mean, I remember you look back at the video that Dorian did with Chris Cormier, and he was like, when he was doing the leg workout with him, and he's outside throwing up on the floor, but during that interview, he's like, man, these intensity levels are off the scale. This man's a lunatic. And it's like, back to basics, Chris. You got to get back to basics. Yeah. And it's like, this is a guy who had come 3rd in the Olympia, who was being told this by, Dorian 6 times Mr. Olympia. I mean, and again, I'd like to, I don't see, and it's like with when Wendy was on board, the girl trains with such the basic brutal intensity, but it delivers results. Yeah. It just doesn't seem by chance that the physiques that you do see that are standing out are the ones that keep it to a pretty much a basic format.
I think sometimes all these other different techniques, it's just a bloody distraction. And you're in there hopping around and counting 10 seconds after this, then do 5 reps, 3 seconds wait. It's like, no, just fucking train. Like,
yeah, I like that. Just fucking train.
There's no better way to say it.
There isn't, no, but you're right.
It's just distracting.
Yeah.
And then you can't
Cut
even
out the
train
bullshit.
properly. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think, both of you, the that back to basics needs teaching?
I think it does.
Again,
I do.
Has it been lost?
I think. Well, yeah, I think it's a very good point. I do believe that is the case because of the way things and the emergence of all these, this, that, the other, this training system, that training system, that training system.
Yeah, because as Rosie said, she's she's seen all these different ways of training, and it's very confusing out there at the moment for these people, and to be able to get back to basics, that
and
still
I'll
needs
tell you
teaching,
something else. I mean, I've got a lot of clients,
and
they want stuff to keep them entertained. Is my training plan changing this week? Well, if you want it to, but that's not going to progress you.
Yeah.
Just stick to the same one for so many weeks.
It's boring.
Yeah.
Well, you're in the wrong game, sweetie pie.
Yeah, a lot of people want excitement and changes, and I can understand that because it keeps things fresh and so on. But it ain't necessarily the way to actually progress.
But it's like things you change it as and when is required.
Exactly.
Not just because of the time frame. And because I used to get that when people say, "Oh, in my diet, when will I start dropping this and that and the other?" I went, "Well, you might not need to drop anything."
Yeah. 2015, when I won my pro card, my diet stayed the same for a full 16 weeks.
My very last show
We did not change a thing.
No. In fact, it did stay the same all the way through to the last 2 weeks, and I had to put more food in.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is basically bodybuilding leading up to a show is one of the most regimented, most boring, most,
It's
Groundhog Day. That's what I always say.
It's not exciting.
It's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
If you're not going to be prepared to be the most boring, excuse my French, the boring fucker on the planet, then you're not going to be the best you can be at times. I mean, I know that sounds, and it was, Oh, it was, what's his name? Oh, dearie me. The London bodybuilder. And he did a little, and it was so funny. I'm laughing my head off. He said, and he went, the most boring fucker wins. And, but the thing is you shut yourself in. Yeah. And it is. It's that.
Yeah. Yeah. You do. I say this to Giles all the time. Towards the end, I just go, fucking Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Well, Giles, in all fairness, you and Giles have been together, what, how many years now?
5 years
and
now.
Giles did compete for quite a number of years himself.
Yeah.
So you've got a balance there where you've got an understanding of what's going on.
I'm very, very, very fortunate to have Giles as my partner because, like you say, he knows the sport inside out.
He's dead passionate as well about it, isn't he?
He's passionate. He loves it. He's competed himself.
Yeah.
He's been around top athletes all these years. He knows what it's about.
Yeah.
And it's really, really amazing because he kind of keeps things gelled together so that I can go into that zone and I don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
I'm just training and he's keeping everything else ticking along. And when I'm feeling tired and when I'm quiet, like I never ever go moody ever. I never get nasty ever. That's just not
I wish I could have said the same.
Yeah, no, it's just not the way I am. But I go very quiet and I go very withdrawn.
That seems to be probably the most common trait across the board.
Yeah, it's like you just go within yourself.
You find your attention span.
Yeah, and you know what? If you want to really, really achieve something with the bodybuilding, you've only got so much energy, and it all has to go towards this goal.
Yeah.
You just can't use any. Like, I haven't got the energy to have a conversation because my energy is going towards competing. Watching
films, programs.
No, can't do it.
No.
And Giles, he never, ever. The one thing, my saving grace, is that he never, ever says, what's up? Are you all right?
Yeah.
Have I done something wrong?
Yeah.
Because I think this is the problem a lot of partners have. Yeah. The partners don't really understand, and it's hard for them, really hard for them. Because like when I'm prepping, I'm not affectionate. Like my personality changes. Yeah. You know, I don't want to sit and have cuddles. I don't want to be affectionate.
You become, it's really weird to say that because you just become this hardened person, emotionally devoid of emotion, really.
Kind of a barrier goes up as such.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, whether the barrier goes up, but it's just nothing there. Yeah. I've had it when I was, and I said it before, you could have had a harem of women there doing all sorts of going like that.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
You just don't have the energy.
You know what I mean? You're just not interested in sexual, right? No. And that brings me on to, there's a guy called John Watson. And if John is out there watching, he was getting ready for a contest. I was doing a TV program called Body Spectacular back in 2003 or so. And there was 3 groups. And in my group, and I was helping this one guy, and he went on to win his class. Never bodybuilded before, never done it. So I had to diet them, help them out and all that along the journey. It was filmed and it was shown on one of the Sky channels over half-hour blocks for 5 straight days for a week. And when I was in the hotel room the day before the show, and I was saying to we were all there, and I said, God, I remember, I said, bloody sex drive just gone. I wasn't interested. I just had no sexual desire. And she went, oh, thank God for that. She went, I thought he was having an affair or he just didn't fancy me anymore. Yeah. And I said, no, it's nothing to do with him. Trust me, this is what happens.
Again, it goes on to people not understanding the sport, understanding what you're
And it's like you say, the energy levels are gone, so you're like...
Yeah. And it breaks up many relationships.
Oh, yeah. You don't fancy me anymore.
And you don't want bless them, I do feel bad for partners that either don't understand it or they're just not willing to put up with it. Yeah. They don't want to.
It's a big ask, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's like, I think these are the things that if you are going into the bodybuilding arena or you've got a new partner or whatever and they're not accustomed to anything like this, you've got to sit down and go, let me explain what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And there's no place for those partners to seek that advice or to see what it is that they need to be aware of.
Yeah.
which I think is something that's probably missing in the sport. Maybe
Yeah.
I mean,
Again,
people watching the podcast, get your partners to watch this, because this will give you an understanding.
Really is important. And then if you do get to that point, then you go, listen, honey, let's have an open relationship.
Oh, John.
And then you can bring back whoever you want.
Thing is though,
And I'll watch, but it won't matter because it won't have any.
When you're 4 weeks out from your prep, you'd probably just agree to it. Though,
Yeah, you go like that. Yeah,
Do what you want,
and
love.
like that in the corner. Oh, that's very nice, honey. Is he good? Yes, he's marvellous. Thank you very much for
Brilliant.
that.
Sat there
I'm just
eating
going to get
chicken.
some chicken and rice.
I'm going to stop this in its tracks. So it's we're an hour into the podcast, guys. Just break it up just for a little bit. Got some questions.
I was just going to say, do you mind if I?
You got to go to the toilet again.
Listen,
You are nearly 50, though.
I am nearly 50.
Yeah,
Remember,
yeah.
I'm going to have
Travelling back from London.
Yeah.
Can we stop here? Can we
Yeah, but I
stop here?
can't help it.
Yeah,
I couldn't
yeah.
help it. So an ideal time then, while I go and have a
You
break.
go and have a piddle, John.
You
Go
go
on.
back.
Rosie.
Yes.
Question sent in from Melissa, North Yorkshire. I've never competed, but will be going on stage in the next 2 months and really nervous about walking out. Do you have any advice for building confidence?
Oh, I do, yeah. I would say it's really good because confidence comes from a state of mind. And I'm sure most people have some situation in their life where they do feel confidence. So it's about trying to channel into it and use it and get into that state of mind in whichever situation you need it. So one of the things that I do is I use music a lot. So for example, when I'm doing my cardio or something high energy training, I have my favourite music on. It might be heavy metal or it might be just like N-dubs. I really like N-dubs as well. Like something that really makes you feel like you're like the winner, the champion. And you could listen to that before you went on stage. So it's
quite a common sight that you see people with the headphones on, don't you, before stage time? And
and you've already kind of created this little anchor.
Yeah.
Every time you're in the gym, every time you're posing in the mirror and you feel confident with this music on, be aware of it and try and intensify it. And then before you go on stage, find a little place, put that same piece of music on, close your eyes, visualize that confidence, visualize maybe another time when you've been confident in your life. Maybe it was like, I don't know, because everybody has different skills, don't they? And just know that you can use that same confidence in any situation you want. So it's about getting into the right state of mind before you go on stage. If you don't prepare yourself in some way, yes, you probably go on stage and feel like a rabbit in headlights. So yeah, there's different techniques like that I use.
That's great advice. John, any thoughts on confidence before you walk out on stage for the first ever time?
I just think it's pretty much down to the individual. For me, it was a case of there was trepidation, but at the same time, I knew I was like, I've done everything I can.
Yeah.
And it's not until you get onto the stage that you really will truly know how you're going to react. And as soon as I got up there, it was like, yeah. I stood and I just loved it. I just felt I so belonged on that stage.
I think the people who do really well do really enjoy the stage, don't they?
There's a difference between, I say when I enjoy performing, and it's like with Rosie. When you see Rosie perform, you just engage. Everyone engages
it's because
with her.
she's enjoying it.
Because she's enjoying it. But the thing is to enjoy it and come across with confidence and not with arrogance.
Yeah.
And you don't want that.
And also,
no.
like, something to remember is not everyone has to be an entertainer.
No.
Like, when I go on stage, the other girls afterwards are like going, oh, God, I wish I could do this, that, and the other. And it's like, you don't have to.
No.
You can go out and do your thing your way and be just as good.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a dance piece or whatever. And like you say, I think, you know, the reason why you felt good is because you'd done everything you could.
Oh, without a doubt.
You were prepared. You'd got in shape. You'd done all the training. People that need to do posing, get your posing practice done, and then you've covered everything.
Let's go back to that, the posing.
Yeah.
Seriously, how important is mastering the art of
so
posing?
important. I'll tell you how important. I've been competing since 2007.
Yep.
And I've always had posing as a strength.
Yeah.
Now, when I went to the Olympia for the first time, 2016, I thought I could just get by on my usual winging it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't need to practice because I'm this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But then when I got on stage, because it was something new, it was out of my depth, everything went to pot.
Right.
Because I hadn't practiced.
Yeah.
I thought I could get away with,
because you were so accustomed to doing it anyway.
Exactly,
you thought, I won't need it this time.
But I'd gone to a new level and I hadn't practiced. And when you get on stage and you've got all the audience there, you've got the lights on you, you are thrown into a whole other world. Now the posing needs to be absolutely in your body. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just gonna get thrown off. Yeah. So the posing, it's like you should be doing it daily, really, if you can.
I see it all too often, though. All too often that you go to shows, even at pro shows. You know, you go, you're losing places because you're not selling yourself. You're not posing correctly. You're not presenting yourself the way you should be doing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else as well. Before you even start posing practice, start stretching.
Yep.
You need to stretch your muscles and make sure that you can actually get your lats out. The amount of people that I've had for posing sessions, and I can show them the poses, but they can't physically get into them because there's restrictions somewhere.
They're very tight in the shoulders.
Yeah.
It's a very good, interesting point. Even though I never did that myself, it probably would have helped me even more. You know, and it's true that. No, that's a very, very valid point.
And even just the way someone walks on stage, if you're not flexible and stretching, they walk on like...
sort of dead tight and roll, but
The difference
robotic.
Between a stiff physique and the classic kind of shape and someone that poses with grace.
Yeah. Look at that, John.
I know. Just that movement, it just went.
Look at that.
And she just went. It's like, I just thought, you just feel it. I was just looking, watching, going,
she's ace, isn't she?
She's awesome. No, but it's true. If you've got to be right up there in the mixture of one of the all-time greats when it comes to posing presentation. I'm not saying that because you're here. I've complimented many people who've been across the table, but it's true. You just seen that movement there and it just went. It's like when you did the pose and you did that and you did that.
Yes.
You know, and it's like that looking and going, simple, but it's beautiful.
Just bringing it back to confidence again on the question. So I suppose from what you've just said there, confidence should start maybe, or building your confidence should start, I suppose, from the start of your prep. Yes. Making sure you're confident in your diet, making sure you're confident in your training, making sure you're confident in the support network around you. Yeah. And then
it's knowing that you've done everything in your power.
It's like if you went in for your GCSEs and you hadn't revised, you'd missed all your classes. Yeah. I tell you what, you're going to be sweating on the day of the exam. Yeah. But if you've done your homework, you're going to be cool.
Yeah.
You'll know that you've done everything you can. You'll do your best, and then you know it's out of your hands.
Yeah. Great analogy. Next question. Billy from Colchester. Where do you see women's bodybuilding in the next 5 years?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Can
I just sort of interject there a minute? I use that word, interject.
Interject.
It's a lovely word.
Have a vodka, everyone.
Hey, because you've got the bodybuilding, you're in the physique.
Yes.
But the female bodybuilding then went, as Wendy was saying, Wendy McCready's now with what they call the wings of strength.
Yeah, yeah.
So is that...
It just says female bodybuilding. Okay.
So female bodybuilding.
I suppose that's across,
I guess
across
it's the broad way.
Yeah.
Well, my kind of vision of it is I've always loved like the classic, the women bodybuilding from like the 1980s, 1990s. That is the look I love. It's the look I think that is going to help the sport to grow.
Andrew Schreiner.
Exactly. Corey Everson.
Murray.
They're just things of beauty. It's like I just love the artistic, statuesque look. And that's always what I've strived
and the
to bring.
crowds were massive.
They loved it.
The prize money was huge.
They loved it.
Yeah.
But I also have a respect for the freakier side of things. I think it's awesome. And if the girls want to do that, I think go do it. And I have nothing against that at all. Yeah. But looking at what happened with the female bodybuilding, because it went a little bit too freaky for mainstream and for, they weren't bringing the crowds. That's why they brought in my category, the women's physique.
Who's to blame for that, though?
I think it's a combination of everyone, but it's the judging, isn't it? Really, the people that get rewarded. But at the same time, like I was touching on earlier, even if I was told that was the only way for me to win, I wouldn't step over the line because that's not my vision. Yeah.
So there was criteria laid down, but they weren't implementing. It's a bit like the era of the men's bodybuilding where, where we find ourselves today with the classic physique. Well, bodybuilding should always be built. It should be referred to as mass with class.
Yeah.
And
it's like they're bringing it back.
Yeah, it's good now. They're realizing it, but it was a dark period, if you like, or a lost. Not so much dark, but a period of everyone was lost and confused.
Yeah, I think everyone is still a bit lost and confused.
Yeah,
because, like, for example, like my women's physique category now, they've brought this in to just pull things back a little bit. So you had people like Dana Lynn Bailey that won.
Yeah.
And if you look at her physique,
yeah,
and now you look at some of the girls that are coming up, we're light years away from Dana Lynn Bailey's look already. Yeah. We've already gone bigger and freakier.
Yeah.
And there's I mean, don't get me wrong, the top girls.
Dana Lynn Bailey was what class was she though?
She was women's physique.
Was she physique?
Same as me.
Well, of course she was. Yeah, because she had huge.
But if you look at her mass and her femininity and her condition, she was quite soft actually, and she was a bit smaller, and she was very beautiful, very feminine, and there's a lot of top girls that are still kind of keeping in check with that, but there are some that are kind of coming in and getting placed well, and to me they're over the line with the condition, because there's no way they're getting like that without stepping over to certain things. Right, okay. And the shapes are not pretty, but they're winning on condition and size. So there are elements that I think it's confusing still. And I just think, well, where's this going? Are we going back? But the saving grace is you've got someone like Juliana Malacan, who's, I think, 3 times Miss Olympia champion. And for me, she's perfection. Yeah. She's got this beautiful round.
So they're rewarding the top person, but they're missing it from in between, but in the mix.
I think
I'd give you an example.
In general, they're doing amazing, but the odd one, I'm like,
But the show at the weekend was for me confused me with your class, because the girl who the girl who won, forgive me with names,
Margita,
and then you got the lady who came third. They were like mirror images of each other. They were so similar to one another. So I thought, well, either they're going to be 1 and 2 and you 3, or you first and then 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And it was like, right, split in the middle was you, which was different to them 2.
Yes.
And I was like, that doesn't quite make sense to me.
I think I always make the judge's job quite hard, actually, when I turn up, because I am very different to a lot of the competitors, because I have such a beautiful shape.
But it's true. You have this look, and it's like, well, for me, it's either you're right at the bat or you're going to win.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I think the girl that won this one, structurally and shape and proportion, symmetry, mine is far better. But my condition was just not good enough. If I'd have been 10% sharper, I think I would have won. But she just had this and it was beautiful condition. It was very, very good. Yeah. And she didn't have an ugly shape.
No. Oh, no, not saying they're ugly at all. Not at all. It wasn't. I weren't looking at them going, ooh.
Yeah,
no. Not at all.
And she was very beautiful and very feminine. Yep. So it was, it was just really down to me not coming in, not sharp enough. Like looked at my pictures, I thought, oh my God, my ass looks massive, like, but fat. It was just like...
You're worried about your ass.
So big.
Everything else comes round, innit? Don't worry about that.
You were talking about your big ass on the last
Space opera.
John's renowned.
Renowned.
Yeah, renowned.
You have to get
him a bigger chair. Sorry, mate.
Put handles on the top of it. Kids be like, there's a space opera there. Get off.
Well, mine was like as wide as my back. I just thought that's not normal.
Do you think really, was it? Really? You've been a bit overly critical.
It just throws off the shape. When that fat is not off the glutes, I know what you mean. The whole shape just looks a bit weird.
But I don't think it was a million miles away. You did yourself proud. You know?
Yeah.
But so have we got what's the next question, please?
Couple more, sorry. Jamie from Blackpool, what was your favourite experience on stage and why?
Okay, let me think. Favourite experience on stage, I would say, actually last year when I did Tampa.
Right.
And the reason being was because even though I got 5th, and I knew, after prejudging, I knew I wasn't going to place high, but I'd spent a lot of time on my routine. And the year before, because I hadn't come in top 10 at the Olympia, I didn't get a chance to do my routine. So the following year, I just really wanted to, because I knew already I wasn't going to place high, I just really wanted to have this time for me to do this routine and do it perfectly. And it was just one of those moments where I was so relaxed, because I didn't care about the placing now, because I knew I wasn't going to win. Yeah. I was just like, I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to perform my heart out. And it's all just about this routine now. Like, I'm not bothered about the physique or anything. And it went perfectly. It was just, and I was like in the moment. In that capture, it was like, and what was it? I can only imagine what the reaction was like. Yeah, it was like, and Giles was like, oh my God, that was perfect. Bring a tear to people's eyes. Yeah, because sometimes you can be so tense about, oh my God, where am I going to place? And it's like, you're not really in the moment. You don't really enjoy the moment. Yeah. And it's like, you don't really go through the poses like in present. Whereas this time I was like, it was just, I was like in the flow. Because you can be so tense and so worked up. You actually are sort of in, but outside of it. And you don't fully immerse yourself in that moment. It's such a different feeling. And when you're in it, it's like really special. So that was actually one of my favourite times on stage, for sure. Right, well, that concludes some of the questions. Yeah. Crack on. And we'll get back to where we were and that. So, I mean, from your bodybuilding side, you didn't actually, I mean, you're now in the, you've done basically all the categories nearly, haven't you? Yeah, I did figure when I started off. I did trained figure, which was, trained figure was where I learned how to get in condition. Right. Because if you see the trained figure girls, you have got to be sharp. Yeah. And they were some of my most conditioned days, to be honest. Right. Because you just knew that was the focus, and if you didn't turn up sharp, you weren't going to place. Yeah. So that was, I really enjoyed that category. Then I moved over to bodybuilding, which was always my goal. Yeah. When I first started in 2004 training and first show in 2007, I always said I was going to do bodybuilding. Right. And I wanted to be a pro bodybuilder and get to the Olympia. Yeah. And not everyone, but there was about 3 people that believed it. And what year was that? Were you saying that? From 2007, I was saying that. Yeah. I was saying I'm going to get my pro card. And when did that finally happen? That happened in 2015. And I always used to say, I want my pro card by the time I'm 30. Right. And if I remember rightly, I was 32. Right. So I just missed it for shy of 2 years. Give or take, you weren't that far off, was you? Yeah. But you actually, you beat some
pretty good girls and pretty big girls as well.
Yeah, what, along the way?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I pissed off quite a lot of people along the way, to be honest, because I was always like the smallest.
Yeah.
And I still get it now because I've got the kind of physique that it's a stage physique.
Yeah.
When I pose, that's when you
come alive.
Yeah. But when I'm backstage or when I'm just relaxed or in the gym or
It's
whatever, no one even
looks at you.
Yeah, like I remember I competed when I think it was maybe when I came second at the British in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the big girls backstage, she said to me, I think she was trying to like prepare me for not doing very well. She said, it's just good that we've all made it here, isn't it?
Very patronising.
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm not here to make up the numbers.
You're like that. What?
Yeah, and then I got second and she didn't place.
Right.
And she was fuming because I think a lot of people, either they've not seen me on stage or they've seen me on stage and they just don't get what it's all about.
Oh, they don't understand the criteria.
Yeah, and I think along the years there has been quite a few kind of comments where people don't really understand why I've done well or why I've done better than other bigger, chunkier athletes.
I think I've come across this, but I've always been in your corner because at the end of the day, I use the term, as I said before, it's mass with class.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's female or male, it's about the complete physique.
Yeah.
And not just for the sake of having, well, I'm big. Oh, great, you're big. But I want to be able to look at a physique. Like Dorian. I know Dorian and certain others do want, what the hell is that? But they still had that complete package of it was symmetrical, it was in place.
It flows.
Yeah, it flows.
And there's nothing really that stands out. It just all comes together like...
Yeah. It's like Lee Labrada's term, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mass with class, if you will.
Yeah.
And it just... and that applies across the board. You want to look at male, female, and just go, wow. It's like, just take, for example, Camelo Gani's just won the 212 Arnold Classic. And I saw him at 2 Pro and he interviewed him. I was dead chuffed for him. Because I remember when I very first seen him, it was at a NAPA Northwest show, and he came out on stage, and I just went, bloody hell, that's a nice physique. It just was put together so well. And when I heard it, and I didn't even know he was doing the 212 Arnold, and when I heard he'd won it, I was like, oh, over the moon for him. And it, I looked at him and went, that's what bodybuilding's about.
Yeah, because your eye's just drawn to that. And I think some people maybe they don't have the bodybuilding eye.
Yeah.
They don't really know what the judges are looking for.
Yeah.
They just see like a big pair of arms, or they see like striated glutes, and they think, they should have won.
Yeah, because it's... Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't really get it so much now, but over the years, I definitely did come up against that quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I always had just absolute faith and self-belief of what I brought, and I knew I was the best. I just knew it.
Well, I mean, and there's nothing wrong in that, and that's not arrogance. That's actual having self-belief and confidence, and knowing what you want to present, knowing the criteria, and saying I've got to fulfil that criteria. Yeah. So I like that kind of confidence and that belief as well. I mean, the thing is with Giles as well, because he's wrote. Do you both co-commentate now for someone for MD?
Yeah, for muscular development. I mean, Giles more so. He does the online coverage for events. So he went to the Arnold's the other week with Ron Harris. And they'll do all the interviews and everything. And some of the European events I'll go and interview as well. But and we'll do the commentary online, and I've got a column coming out as well with MD soon on the magazine. So but
competition in it, eh? Them on that side, us on this side. No, we don't. Right, who can it though? Do you enjoy it though?
Yeah, I love it. I love it, and it's really nice to kind of to see Giles in his element as well, because that's where he kind of like comes alive,
flourishes. He belongs there.
Yeah. So it's nice. Like when I was getting ready for the end of my prep and Giles went to the Arnold's, I was like, this will be good for him, to get away and
be
over there away from my miserable face. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I remember when the first time me and John had done it, and we sat in front, we're going, and it's going 3, going 3, 2, 1. I'm thinking, what the hell? And you just go, and well,
you just go for it, don't you?
Like,
yeah. I mean, I must say, the first interview I did for MD was with Nathan de Asher.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh no, because I could see my hand shaking. And it's like, I'm a super confident person, but it's still, as soon as you've got a camera on you, you just feel nervous, don't you?
And you're like, you're 3, 2, 1, and yeah. And you think, but it can be one of the most daunting things, that you put under. But you either sink or swim. Sometimes you're doing a bit of both and going, I've cocked up, but never mind.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, like, sometimes you can be doing stuff and talking, and all the time in your head you're thinking, I'm talking so much rubbish. This is crap. This is crap. And then when other people watch it, they're like, oh my God, that was amazing.
I know.
But in your head, you're like putting yourself down.
It's mind games, isn't it? Like, bloody hell.
I'm constantly in the earpiece of John, just saying, just shut up for a minute. Just keep quiet for a minute. I'm only joking. We'll love you.
Yeah. You say anything. So, I mean, we've covered quite a lot there with the bodybuilding side of things, but outside of bodybuilding, what is Rosie about?
Well, I'm very chilled.
Yeah.
I don't really go crazy or anything like this. Like nice meals. Yeah. I love going to watch dance and theatre. I really love, I still do a bit of dance as well. I went over to Germany.
I was going to say, because you went to Germany. I remember that was it this Christmas before?
The Christmas before, and then I've just come back as well. I went out in...
Was you in Berlin?
Yeah, Berlin, Leipzig, and... one other place I can't remember now.
And what was that you were doing?
This was a contemporary dance piece. A choreographer over in Berlin had got in touch with me and another bodybuilder, and they wanted to do a piece about strong women, and they wanted to use female bodybuilders to dance.
Okay.
So it was just kind of challenging what a woman should look like.
So was there a number of female bodybuilders in the show?
Just me and a girl called Natalie Schmidt.
Okay.
And we worked over there for 6 weeks on this project, and we've won awards since.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this, I really love, like, as soon as my competitions finish, I have to set myself other things.
Yeah. Is there any of that show that you did? Is there any footage of that online?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, actually. Maybe I don't think they've put much up because we're still touring.
Right, I'm with you.
So they don't show like the full piece because they want to keep it secret.
To try and look up, because Rosie was doing this tour in Germany, and what was it called?
Wonder Women.
Wonder Women.
Yeah, I don't think there's actually anything online yet because we're going to Bruges as well in maybe 3-4 weeks, and then I think there's
is that Brussels.
Yeah, I think so.
Bruges, Brussels, I think it is. Yeah.
And there's potentially we're going to Australia with it and Indonesia.
Really?
So we're travelling all over.
Wow.
And I also songwrite. I write songs for like my own hobby and just like enjoyment.
Yeah.
I've had some songs released on iTunes.
What kind of music?
It's called Electro Swing.
Right.
So, you can... oh no!
Yeah, come on, we got to find. Let's see.
There's one. It's with a producer called Jamie Berry.
Yeah. And
one of the songs is called Peeping Tom, and it's about basically a peeping Tom and watching me, and I actually quite like it. So, I'm like dropping my dressing gown.
A bit like I kissed a girl and I like it, but no, it's more
is
like
this on,
Tom and I like
would it be on YouTube?
Be on YouTube, yeah. It's got like millions of views.
That's it.
Yeah.
I've got to see this. Come on.
And what's it called? It's called Peeping
Tom, Jamie Berry.
Right. And this is you.
This is me. Yeah.
Wow. So have you got your YouTube channel?
I've got my SoundCloud for my music.
Right.
And my YouTube.
Right.
But yeah, the music, it's like, because I've always done dancing and singing since I was little. Again, it's like it's a release for me.
Yeah.
I have to have these things in my life. They keep me happy. They keep me sane.
Well, that's a key word, isn't it? Happiness keeps you happy.
Yeah. I think it's important for people to have It's like a lot of people when you're growing up, they have all these different things, and then you become an adult and you just work.
Well,
and
that's how
like,
it's become the social norm to be go, well, that's what you do there, but now you must. And it's the biggest pile of crap going.
Yeah.
People go through life doing things they hate just so they can get in a car, go to somewhere they don't want to be, and then get back home. I mean, Joe Rogan said all this. I've seen his podcast.
I love the Joe Rogan podcast.
Joe Rogan is awesome, and we're very similar age, and I can't relate with the man enough. You know what I mean? And it's so true. You know, life is about experiencing and enjoying.
Constantly. The thing that I find is if I'm not learning something new, I'm depressed. Yeah. I have got to be constantly challenging myself and learning new stuff. Like I went off and did a course for NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming. Because I'm just fascinated by life and anything new I can get in my brain. Like,
I love that energy.
Yeah,
it's good.
And that's
we have some right conversations, don't we?
But that's what keeps you alive and
questioning and
and I think this is where, like, a lot of people that have low self-esteem, low depression and stuff, I think just pick up a hobby. Yeah, start a new hobby. Learn something. Do a new course, and I tell you what.
Something you can thrive off, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
Get out, walk into the wilderness, go into the nature and all that. Just get out there.
Is this the track that we've pulled up?
This is it, yeah.
Is this it?
So it's like takes the old vintage 1940s style music, and then it has like a modern twist to it.
6 million views. Wow.
And then my cheeky little voice.
Can't turn it up anymore, unfortunately. Big fan of electro swing.
Yeah.
But how can that not be? I mean, you hear some of the music that's out there, and that's miles better than half the crap we're listening to today.
Yeah.
Have you never been sort of like approached where you could go for like a label or?
Do you know? I think.
That's brilliant.
Because my focus is so much on the bodybuilding, I just don't put any time into it. But
doing Arnold, where Arnold?
Yeah, a little bit of both. But I actually do. I've said to Giles that this year I particularly want to do well with the bodybuilding. Yep. I want to get my Olympia invite, and I want to get top 5 at the Olympia. Yep. And one of the main reasons being is because I feel like I need a year away from the stage afterwards.
Would you not think doing with your skill set, and you look at your talent there, what a unique twist compared to everyone else.
Yeah, and
brilliant.
That's why I like to do like the guest spots and
Lady Gaga, eat your heart out.
Yeah, muscle version.
What will separate and differentiate you and bring and make you stand out from the rest?
Yeah.
Can I just jump in? Simon Cowell saw it, didn't he?
He did see it. He liked it.
Right.
Britain's Got Talent, 2015, was it?
Why was you on Britain's Got Talent?
I think it was 2014.
14.
Did you go on Britain's Got Talent?
Yeah.
Yeah,
did a bodybuilding routine.
Don't watch it generally as a rule, but yeah.
Did a bodybuilding routine.
Yeah.
Sang a little bit.
Yeah.
Danced on a chair. did a shoulder stand on a chair. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Right.
Great fun. But honestly, my long-term future, I could really see myself like when I'm like into my 40s, 50s, I would love to just be singing like in jazz clubs and just this kind of like
bringing out an album and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I think next year, because I've not had a year away from the stage since 2011.
Yeah.
I've been constantly competing. Yeah. So I would really like to do very, very well this year because I feel like I would like a year away from the stage, but growing.
Yeah.
And there's a few little projects actually, like the singing, that I feel like I need to put a little bit of time into just for a year and see what I can do with.
I'd love that to happen. I really would, because you are so super talented. I wish I could sing. I really do.
I have loads of songs like that. I've recorded on my SoundCloud. There's maybe like 10 or 11 that I've recorded.
Well, my daughter's got a YouTube channel that's been growing.
I've seen this.
I know,
it's
and
amazing.
I'm going to ask if I can. Because I'm taking her to, she does drum lessons and she's now going to piano and singing lessons. But I've got to marry you up and you've got to do something together.
Yes.
Would you do that?
Yeah, of course.
Because she'd love that. That'd be brilliant, because you know what I mean? It's like, it's just like quirkiness.
Yeah, she's a little spark of energy, isn't she?
She's a spark of energy. But, and again, it's having like role models.
What does she, because she's, how old is she?
16.
Does she come up against much jealousy and stuff from girls around her or not?
To be honest with you, no. I mean, her friends are very supportive of her and that. So it's good. And she's one of them. She's a bit like me.
Just doesn't really bother anyway.
No, she doesn't care. And I said, listen, haters are going to hate. You need them. If you've got haters, you're doing great.
Yeah, I suppose it's like whatever your perspective is, that's how it is. So even if there is people being jealous, it's like if you're not bothered, then it
because you can't let the opinions of others direct the course of the direction in which your life goes.
Yeah.
You know, we would never have done what we've done. You know, when I was bodybuilding and that, people were loads of people were so negative, and it was like, no, this is my journey. You do what you want to do. I'm going here, whether you like it or not. I'm not asking for your approval. You know,
it's so funny, isn't it? Like, and
people worry too much about other people's opinions.
Yeah, they do.
Bollocks to use.
They do. And do you know what I think? Like, because growing up, I mentioned my father died when I was little.
Yeah.
And my mum struggled with the grief a lot.
How old was you when you found?
I was 1 and my brother was 3.
Wow, so that was really tough on your mum.
Yeah, so then she brought us up and it was like she was depressed quite a lot.
We can imagine,
and it was some days she could be quite erratic, upset, and other days it would be like she wouldn't get out of bed. So growing up, I was always very hypersensitive to other people's feelings, and everything in life, we want to create balance. Yeah. That's what we try and do. Everything we're doing is to try and create some sort of balance. Yeah. So because I had this kind of heightened emotion stuff and sometimes it wasn't that my mum was negative, it was just she was depressed and it was struggling. So my way of balancing was by being super positive and always trying to make sure everything was amazing. Yeah. And that's how I've become. That's like my setting now. And I find it quite hard to tune into other people that are negative and want to try and put people down or stop people succeeding.
It's called like energy vampires, aren't they? You know what I mean? It's like, well, you know, your circle of influence. And he's a particular friend of mine, Marco Robinson. He did a program on Channel 4 where he gave away a house. You know, and he's just one of these friends. You know, I know Marco better than most people out there, but for whatever reason it is, when I'm around him, boy, do we laugh. And it's just we pick each other up.
And how nice when you just spend time with someone like that.
We just literally are laughing when it's within, and I can't explain it. Even though I've got a handful of other good friends. No, I don't laugh as much as I do. I just can't help it.
But
it's
how amazing! How amazing
to
be one of those people that has that effect on other people.
I know.
And then you've got other people, and all they do is whinge about the life and how shit it is.
And you're like that. Oh.
And it's like, yeah, but you don't realise you're the reason for that. Yeah. And the reason why other people are negative towards you is because of your aura and your behaviour. I
mean, you think you're that hard done by, you know, because it's that word want, isn't it? Always wanting the next best thing. There's nothing wrong in wanting to achieve and succeed and do that. But when it gets to the point where it's making you miserable in search of more, when you consider I've travelled like you have and I've seen the poorest of the poor. And you know what? I've never seen people smile so much who've got so little.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, the Western civilization of capitalism, commercialism really is. Democracy will make you happy as... You couldn't meet a more depressed medicated bunch on the planet of the earth.
Yeah.
Look at America as a whole and that. And it's sad. Then you go to these other third world countries and there just seems to be a massive imbalance of what one has and what hasn't, yet the what hasn't is more happier than the what has.
I think the problem is a lot of people are so distracted by materialism and all this other thing. They don't actually know what their intent is each day or in life.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got someone who's got very little, but their intent is to be happy, spend time with the family, security, health. They know what their higher reasons are, whereas a lot of other people are kind of just so distracted, and it just leads to misery.
I think what's happened is, I think there was a study done, and if you find it as well, the study was what is truly happiness, and they said after all the study that's been going on, it's still ongoing now, it's been going on for 70 odd years. It was in a TED talk, and the study's been passed from professor to professor, whatever. And he was saying it's about being part of a community, being loved and being part of anything.
We're lacking, aren't we, a lot of us?
We lack empathy, we lack
But I tell
compassion.
you what, that's a big reason. I was talking about this the other day, and I think it's a big reason why so many people are turned on by bodybuilding, because it's a community.
It's a community.
And even though you'll get a lot of people, and they're rubbish at bodybuilding. Yeah. They're such bad bodybuilders. But they never get anywhere in it.
It's their purpose.
But it's a community, and they feel part of something.
Do you know what? It was Kerry Kayes was asked the question, who do you admire the most in bodybuilding? And he went, those who don't give up and just keep having a go and keep coming back year after year. And do you know what? It's easy to say that, but if it's like, oh, they're not this, they're not that. But you know what? If it genuinely is bringing happiness and a purpose to the life, then voila. Yeah. That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think it's lovely. I really think it's so nice. And it's, everyone will say, oh, but social media is so fake and this, that and the other. But it is nice, all these people that you see every day and you have a little conversation with. And for some people, that's the only contact they have with anyone. They don't have friends outside of it.
But that's it. And that, again, is nice, but sad, isn't it? Because there are more and more people. Most people don't even know who the bloody neighbours are. The community spirit seems to have gone. I'm quite daft as it sounds, I'm quite an introvert person. I'm a loner, actually. Yeah, as daft as it sounds,
No, I'm actually as well.
Quite a bit of a loner. Yeah, and at times I can get really lonely because most of the week I'm pretty much at home alone. You know what I mean? I'll see my daughter a couple of times and that, and it does. You think and you can think, God, how must some of these older people feel who are literally out on the limb. And it's just a shame. It's as though the pub. I'm not a drinker, but you look at how many pubs there used to be, and I know it's conspiratorial, but it's as if to say the powers that be want to dismantle this structure of
the live music venues have gone down now as well. So people gathering together to listen to music doesn't even happen anymore.
No. And it's a shame, and I think that's what this study found. The study found the purpose was to be part of something, and it was Portugal with their drug laws. Portugal got rid of the laws of it being illegal, and over 50% reduction in use. Yeah. And the study revealed the reason why they didn't, by legalising it, is they were integrating the people back into society, into community groups and stuff like that. And they'd found a purpose. They found that they felt they were part of a group and were wanted and loved. Yeah. And the reason why people, they say, go on drug users and become addicts is because it's the one thing they can rely on.
Yeah, they're trying to make some sort of connection of some sort.
Exactly.
This is what drives us. Yeah. Even when people are doing really awful things to other human being, in some weird way, they're just trying to make a connection.
It is an obscure word, but the one thing is, it's like you say, the most powerful thing and a powerful emotion is love. Yeah. And if we can master that, it's all about love. There's nothing more powerful than love, in its unconditional form.
The bodybuilding fraternity, as it is, myself going into the sport, but not as a competitor 3 years ago. been accepted, smiles felt on faces, shaking hands to everybody. You know, people know who you are, and it is a great environment to be involved with.
Well, look what happened at the weekend, Nathan Harmon.
Oh, Nathan Harmon, yeah.
Me and Nathan Harmon had a right set to it at Britain. I was ready. I was trying to hunt him down. I'd lost it. I was I'm gonna knock it. I just did. We just had a bit of set to boom. But then they've seen him at the 2 Bro Rosies like that, and he went, all right. So we're cool. I said, yeah. I said, it's all a load of bollocks, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Mate? And we got up, and seriously, we looked like, fair enough. And I thought, there's too much anger and hatred in this world for any of this nonsense.
Yeah.
And we had a good little interview and that, and it was just nice to make peace.
You're all part of the same sport.
We are at the end of the day, and that's what. And he did say that. He
it.
said, "Come on, we're all part of this at the end of the day, and let's move forward. Let's build bridges, not hate. And that for me was a nice little touch at the weekend that stood out for me for that. So
just let you know, we're coming up to 2 hours.
2 hours.
Oh my goodness!
Where did that
coming
go?
up to 2 hours.
I'm just getting started.
I know, just like that. The moment we're bopping away, like let's have it. So next up on the what other shows have you got then? So we've just come second at the 2 Bro show. There's another one that they're doing in. It's going to be in Coventry, isn't it?
They're doing another in June, but this one will not have my category in it.
Oh right, okay.
But amazingly now for me, there's lots of pro shows all over Europe. So there's.
Oh, that's good then, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean. I'm the first time I competed as a pro in 2016. Yeah. We purposefully chose a hard one. Yeah. I wanted to go in there and prove that I could go in with any of the girls, and I went in and I got a win straight first, Olympia first time. Yeah. So I kind of feel like I've proved myself that I can stand up with the big girls, and I've been 12th at the Olympia. So now I'm not picking shows strategically to get my Olympia invite, but if I can save money and compete in Italy, England, Spain instead of going to America,
you won't get the Americans doing it the opposite way round.
Exactly, it makes no sense. So in about 12 weeks there's one in Italy, then there's one in Spain. So right now I'm at a perfect starting point to get a bit of tissue on. And coasting to a show in about 12 weeks. But this year, I'm just going to keep competing until I get that invite. Yep. Going to the Olympia this year, no matter what. So,
I just love that. I think, and you know what? I think we've covered so much there. I think that's just a very poignant note to sort of like conclude what we've been talking about. But there is one thing that we need to do, Rosie.
Yes.
We need your beautiful signature. You've got a blue or a black?
Blue, please.
Ooh.
Just find a nice empty space on that table, Rosie.
Right here.
Anywhere you want.
She's just a rascal. The Rosie Rascal.
What a voice.
Yeah.
If I was living with someone like Rosie, I'd be like, could you sing to me? And I'd be like, I'd probably fall asleep.
just to throw in there, who's on the podcast next, John? Do we know?
We have.
Have we solidified a next guest?
Hopefully it should be Nathan D'Asher.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. It was going to be Anth Bales. Anth at the moment is a little bit tied up, but he's definitely going to be coming on.
Yeah.
But we've had quite a number of people wanting to come on as well.
And why not?
I know. I was watching all the first ones, thinking,
why haven't I done?
Why haven't you been fit?
I like to be the first at everything. It's like, when they gonna call me?
Call me, it's one of them balancing everything up and all that. So it's.
Can we just have a quick chat about your business interest at the moment?
Yes.
Your website and that kind of thing.
Yes. So super exciting project we've been working on for a long time. Close to launching my own supplement range, the Rosie Rascal range.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Ooh.
And it's a female health range, so it's helps sport performance, but it's very, very health based.
Will any part of it be to do with gut health?
Eventually, I would really, really love to do this. Like a lot of the products are based around trying to lower cortisol levels.
Yep.
Trying to keep blood sugar levels stable,
which is very important.
Yeah, and then eventually the gut health would definitely. Everything is to do with things that I've experienced and things that I've tried and know work.
Yeah.
And we're going into partnership with a guy called Paul Smith. You know Paul
Paul?
Smith? Yeah, with...
Time For.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he has a company called Time for Nutrition. So we're partnering up with him to create this female health range.
Right.
And it's going to be something really unique.
Well, and that's the thing, isn't it? The key.
Yeah.
What's your USP and uniqueness? So it sounds as though you're on it.
Yeah, so that's going to be super exciting, and I think everyone's going to just be seeing us all over the place, as soon as that launches. So,
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's great.
Excellent. Sounds fabulous.
Super.
That.
Lovely.
And I can't wait to buy your album when it comes out. I want you to sing. But as I say, I'm definitely going to try and get you and Chloe. I want you and Chloe to do some kind of podcast.
Yeah, that would
both
be awesome.
I think you should jump on the album, mate, and do a little side rap.
Like that? Yeah.
That would be awesome. Get him
John
in on
Hodgson.
video.
Try to sing. You'd be like, oh.
Well, you don't have to sing when you're rapping. You
Well,
just
all
rap.
right, then no, you don't. You have to,
just use that American accent you used earlier on, mate, and you'll go far.
don't you remember that?
It was
one?
horrendous.
God damn you. Rosie, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure, a joy. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I was so excited to come on, so thank you so
wonderful.
much.
You're welcome on any time, Rosie.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for
coming
down.
Don't say that. I'll be knocking on the door again.
Well, let's after the Olympia, who knows? Let's say
We'll do
crossed.
another one for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the album comes out.
Yeah. When the album.
Whenever you like.
Rosie, thanks, darling.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again.
Thank you.